At noon, her son will be executed. 5 years ago, her husband was reported dead. If she writes his name, her son goes free. Mara wrote it. She thought a dead man couldn't be hurt twice. The next morning, someone knocked on her door. "Did you sell me out, Mara?" Her dead husband was standing on the porch. 1. The morning before. At the table, Kai moves the burnt end of the bread from his own plate onto his mother's. "Eat it yourself today. You like the burnt part more." "I never said that." "You always take it anyway." Soldiers break through the door. A letter was intercepted at the border the night before. It was addressed to Oren. To Oren, the governor's son, who smuggled weapons out through the east gate, has reached the camp in the north. A letter needs a living recipient. The occupation forces conclude Oren is still alive somewhere. This town has one law. When a fugitive traitor is at large, the nearest direct blood relative still living in town is executed in his place. Kai is taken as Oren's blood relative. As they drag him away, he turns back. "Don't put anyone in my place." Mara runs to the clerk's office. The clerk tells her, "The army can hunt a fugitive on its own, but only family can file to exchange the relative for the man himself. If you sign, the execution is stayed until noon, and a public summons goes out for Oren instead." He runs his finger down the ledger. Oren's death was never formally recorded. On paper, he's still a traitor at large. Mara picks up the pen. It's a gamble. If her husband really is dead, her son dies at noon. But if by some chance he's alive, Mara signs. 2. By that evening, the public summons is posted at every checkpoint on the border. Fugitive Oren, surrender. If you fail to appear, your son Kai will be executed. Dawn breaks. 3. Someone knocked on the door. "Did you sell me out, Mara?" Her dead husband was standing on the porch. Mara can't move. Oren steps inside. His eyes land on the burnt heel of bread still sitting at the table. "You still keep that around. You've been dead 5 years. I know the guide brought you a ring. Blood on it so you'd believe I was really gone." The color drains from her face. "You arranged that?" "It was the only way to disappear clean. If they think you're dead, no one comes looking. I sold our neighbors to get you out of this town. And you let me believe you died for it?" Oren doesn't answer. The silence is the answer. Oren has come back to town, but he has not reported to the summons office. He came to strike a deal. Trade the ledger and buy freedom for both himself and Kai. 4. Mara has one goal. Get Kai off the scaffold before noon. But the man standing in front of her is built on 5 years of lies. 5. At the same hour in the governor's hall, Kez sets the intercepted letter on his desk. Show the mother her husband's death record. But don't say his name. Let her find it herself. The clerk asks, "You want her to figure it out on her own?" A person never suspects the trap she thinks she chose herself. 6. I have a plan, Oren says. I hand the ledger to Kez. In return, he pardons the two of us, me and Kai. How many names are in it? 30, Oren says. People just like me. People who sold someone to survive. If that ledger reaches him, all 30 die. You'd trade 30 lives to save yourself? 5 years ago, you sold one family to save me. Why can't you sell 30 now? Mara has no answer. Besides, Oren goes on, I don't trust Kez. I don't have the whole ledger on me. I left one page with a printer in the next town. The page with Kez's own signature, authorizing payments to informants and secret executions. If I don't show up at that print shop by sundown, that page goes up on every wall in town by morning. So instead of 30 names, it's just his crime that comes out? If he kills me, his own evidence comes out instead. He can't just take the ledger and be done with me. Mara's voice drops. Even so, I'm not handing it over. There's another way. 7. Mara goes to find the one survivor of the family she sold 5 years ago, now a servant in the governor's household. The moment she sees Mara, she tries to shut the door. "Please listen. This isn't about saving Kai. I want to stop Kes." "Fine. I'll help," the woman says. "One condition. At noon, in front of the whole crowd, you tell them, in your own words, what you did to my family. Is this you forgiving me?" "No, I'm not helping you. You just happened to bring me a chance to end him." She leads Mara to an old records keeper stationed at the East Gate, a man who also lost his daughter to the same law. The three of them pull the East Gate's transit log. It carries the governor's son's own signature, a line reading, "Weapons delivered to the rebel encampment," and the name of the guard who let him through. Fugitive status, rebel involvement, blood tied to the governor. All three confirmed at once. 8 noon. In front of the crowd, Mara speaks first about herself. 5 years ago, I sold a family, my neighbors, to get my husband out of this town. Then she raises the transit log. The governor's son smuggled weapons to the rebels and fled north. This is his own signature. A forgery, Kez says. Why is a record still under investigation sitting in your hands? The guard who let your son through the East Gate is standing right here. A soldier steps forward. A black cord is tied around his wrist. My brother was executed under this law, he says. The governor's son doesn't get an exception. Kes turns to the soldiers. Take all three of them. No one moves. The soldier raises the black cord for Kes to see. After a long silence, Kes speaks. The clause that executes a blood relative in a fugitive's place, I repeal it. Today, Kai is released. The ground for executing him as a blood relative no longer exists. But Oren is a different matter. Oren was never a blood relative under that clause. He is the man himself. Already sentenced to death for treason 5 years ago before he fled. Only the blood relative clause was repealed. His own sentence was never touched. 9. Just before the execution, Kes approaches Oren. Give me the ledger. I'll void the sentence. Oren glances at Mara just once. Hours earlier, this was the deal he himself had wanted. He shakes his head. Hand it over and 30 people die. Then I die anyway. You've never once let a man you bargained with live. Kes's expression doesn't change. If I don't reach the printer by sundown, Oren continues, that page goes up by morning. Killing me doesn't stop it. Kes looks once toward Oren's coat. There's still time before sundown. Take the seal and the printing stops, Oren answers quietly. You think the soldiers still take your orders? Kes says nothing. The soldier with the black cord is still standing there. 10. Oren pulls the ledger from inside his coat and slides it into the lining of Mara's cloak. The seal that can stop or trigger the printing is inside with it. Then, out of nowhere, he asks, Does he still give you the burnt piece? Mara nods. Oren says nothing more. He walks toward the scaffold. 11. From the back of the crowd, Kai just freed is watching. The instant Oren slides the ledger and seal into Mara's cloak, only Kai's eyes drop to the lining of that cloak. Without a word, he runs to his mother and holds her tight. In those few seconds, his hand slips inside the cloak. When the embrace ends, the lining is empty. That night, a single page reaches Mara. Dad tried to buy his own life with this ledger. Mom bought me back with Dad's life. Both of you chose who to save. This time I choose. The ledger is gone. So is the seal that could stop the printing. Whether Kes's crime comes to light or disappears, that choice belongs to the son now. 12. Mara walks home alone. 3 chairs still sit at the table. One will never hold her husband again. The other not her son. The last of the burnt bread is still there, untouched on the plate. Mara saved her son's life. But she also handed him something else. The method of choosing who gets sacrificed to save someone you love.